Well, that's Knox County, and I usually say that it's about a little bit less than half of Knox County, just because of the way our population is. Senator Becky Massey is the other senator from Knox County, and then the lieutenant governor has a small amount, but it stretches all the way, for those that know Knox County, from Farragut. We have the downtown area. The University of Tennessee campus is in my district. It pretty much follows along I-40. And then it goes north, for those that know Knoxville, into Fountain City and the Halls area. I'm probably the only person in the Senate that graduated from high school in France rather than in the United States. I went to medical school. I'm a cardiovascular surgeon, a heart surgeon, that is. Graduated from medical school at University of Kentucky. I spent a total of 38 years in the Army, both in the active Army and the reserve Army. And my wife and I lived everywhere from California to Hawaii to San Antonio, Texas. I had overseas tours in Korea. I was in a MASH hospital with an armored division in Desert Storm. I was in Somalia, Egypt, down in Colombia, in Afghanistan after 9/11. And then I was also in Baghdad, Iraq, in the Green Zone. And then I retired from the military in 2012, and I served as a combat surgeon in all of those. I was on the county commission for 7 years before I was elected to the Senate. So I always like to remind the TML and the other groups that I am a product of local government, and I support local government for that reason. I guess for the last 10 or 12 years, I've had an interest in sailing, and I do own a 40-foot sailboat. I've sailed twice across the Atlantic Ocean. I've sailed from Hawaii back to San Francisco, from Scotland across the North Sea and up the Norwegian coast to the Russian border in the Arctic Ocean. But that's my primary interest outside of Knox County. I also own a farm in the Hardin Valley area of Knox County. We don't live on the farm as our primary residence. I enjoy working with my bees, keeping a garden, keeping an orchard. And that's what I do to relax, is the farming. And then I spend a lot of time on the sailboat too. I've always said that the toughest elected jobs in government, and I'll exclude being president of the United States because that is really a hard job. But other than that, I think that those local government jobs, probably being on the school board, would be the toughest. But your county commissioners, your city councilmen, your aldermen, you have to make these really tough decisions at every meeting that affects the people that live there. And on top of that is when you go to church, when you go shopping, you're running into those people and you've got to look them in the eye when you make those decisions. It's easier at the state level because we can make decisions, but we're flying at 20,000 feet. Where we don't have to look at them every day and say this is what affected you. The bottom line is that the best government and the toughest government is the government that's closest to the people. And I would really say that is my underlying philosophy on what I like to do with the state. We have so many preemption laws, whether they're dealing with smoking, and some of the smallest things that you can imagine is that the local governments can't do anything about it. And what I've tried to do almost anytime we have that opportunity is do what we call these permission bills or local option bills, is where we'll pass a law. And I don't like mandated bills either. That was really tough when I was in local government, is when the state mandated something, particularly the unfunded mandates. But what I like to do whenever we can is to say, we're going to try something. We'll let the local government decide whether they want to do it or not. And then we'll see how it works out. And I've been on this state and local government committee now. This is my 7th year. It's my first year as chairman. But that's the way I like to look at things, is that the local community knows the needs. They know the personality of the local community. They know how the people there like their government run. And I think we need to give them that option whenever we can. It is very easy, and it happens up here all the time. We pass these unfunded mandates, or we pass something that's really going to complicate the local city councils or the local governments. That is one thing that I'm acutely sensitive to, is that I try not to let something like that happen. The first thing that has been a bit of a surprise is that I didn't realize that I would go over with the budget people, I'd go over with the legal people, and I'd go over with our committee analysts every bill that comes through. And so I really know a lot about all the bills that are coming through and who's bringing them and why. The second thing is that the State and Local Government Committee has more bills than any committee in the legislature. The military department, this is the National Guard, much of their budget is federal. We have the Department of Corrections. You know, these are the state prisons. We have 13 budgets altogether that we have to oversee. Some of them go pretty quickly when we do the budget hearings on them because they're fairly small, but we have others that we really do have to spend a lot of time with. That could very well be an issue in a lot of communities. And in Farragut, it has really come to a head because to put the small cells out in the suburban communities, they have to put a cell about every 8 houses. And it's like a little mini tower. Sometimes they can put it on existing utility poles, but a lot of the utilities in Farragut are underground. And so now they were coming up and putting these poles in people's yards that they didn't like. The problem with either the state or local government dealing with 5G is that the federal government passed preemption laws a number of years ago that said that state and local governments cannot do anything that interferes with the placement of telecommunication utilities. And it has really handcuffed the local governments and the state governments on what they can do and not do. And the TML has a bill that they're bringing to me that they've worked on that we feel that will be in compliance with federal law. And I know that the citizens of Farragut, the mayor and the administration of Farragut is very anxious to see how that bill is going to work through the legislature. But we're hoping that it'll help to alleviate a lot of the concerns that they'll even have in the rest of the state, because this bill will have statewide application if we can get it through. And I do appreciate, by the way, very much TML working on this bill, because there are some other 5G bills, but they are not going to be in compliant with federal law. So we have a lot of hope in this bill. I'll say one last word, if that's okay.
Sure.
When I was on the county commission, our mayor, and it was Congressman Tim Burchett, he's been a good friend of mine now for a number of years. He wanted me to vote for a school that he was building, and I just thought it was too expensive. And we went out to lunch, and when we finished, I still hadn't changed my mind. And he, when we were leaving, he said, "Well, Briggs, you're wrong, but we're still friends." And I said, "Well, Mayor, you're wrong, but we're still friends." So Chad and TML, we may not always agree on things. You'll think I'm wrong. I'll think you're wrong, but we can still be friends. And I'm looking forward to a very long and fruitful relationship. So thank you very much for allowing me to speak with you.